Hello, my friends. Today I want to spend some time talking about wealth, uh, generating wealth in an honest way, as yogis do. And many of us don't realize that there have been a number of very successful, even business moguls, who were also ideal yogis. One example comes to mind immediately in the form of Rajarsi Janakananda, who was the second president of Self Realization Fellowship. I have here the 47th lesson, The Life of a Yogi versus a Business Life, from the Self Realization Fellowship lessons. These I've been taking for many years. I first read Autobiography of a Yogi almost 30 years ago and began studying meditation after that. Um, Now, it's true that I went along the path studying various types of meditation, Zazen, for example, Vipassana, centering prayer, and I finally came back to the Kriya Yoga, feeling that, at least for myself, it had some wonderful advantages, especially in terms of learning some yogic tricks, how to make the mind become very still. So, with that thought in mind, I wanted to talk again about how we can utilize some of those yogic skills in our everyday life in order to generate wealth. The first thing that we can do, obviously, is to begin to practice daily or ourselves some form of meditation. Kriya Yoga is wonderful, and I highly recommend that. Um, but whatever you start with, keep going until you find something that you feel is really maturing you and giving you all that you have been seeking in meditative practice. As we go deeper then through our daily practice, and maybe we only start with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes in the beginning. I know that was true for me. I couldn't sit still for more than a couple of minutes. But as I practiced, now I'm doing multiple hours a day, and I'm very happy to be able to be doing that. At the same time, I'm also writing and working on several web pages, including this YouTube channel. So if you are enjoying what you're finding here, please don't forget to like this video, to subscribe, and to look forward to my future videos. Thank you very much. Another element that comes into play is affirmation. Now, today I'm uploading 5 or 6, maybe 7 different affirmations on generating wealth in a spiritual way. I hope you'll take some time to look at those. And I also wanted to talk about some obvious things that we can do in order to begin to move away from the cushion, the meditation cushion, towards our morning routine as an entrepreneur, if we like, or keeping our day job, just going a little deeper, being a little more sympathetic while we're at work. If we go the route of the entrepreneur and we're also yogis, we'll find that we can go much deeper as we make up our mind to give a certain portion of what we earn back to our community. And that's one thing that I've been doing for some time. And I think it really helps us to discover new opportunities as the Spirit leads us deeper in our entrepreneurship. I know that's been true for me. So, a third consideration then, beyond meditation, affirmation, and daily work, is to think about how we can creatively apply ourselves to some kind of business venture. And for me, that meant writing. I love to write, and now I've finished 14 manuscripts, and for a while I had them on my site at mariocaputo.org, but I took them down, and I'll tell you why. I just wasn't satisfied with the level of writing that I had finished at that point. So now I'm rewriting each one at a time. This one is finished and will be up on my site sooner rather than later, I pray. I believe it will be up pretty soon. A Fish in Water or Thirst, The Globe-Trotting Adventures of a Meditating Angler and Diver. So this book I've actually been working on for about 10 years, more than 10 years, and I think is really a fun read. It chronicles a number of dives and fishing experiences in America and abroad, all the way to India, diving in India, swimming in India, and meeting the hugging Saint Amma in Kerala state. So I just wanted to take here a moment to read from a trip that I took to France. I was there for a total of 9 months, actually. And here's one paragraph from a period of time I spent on the uh, French Grand Canyon, the Gorges de l'Ardèche, as it's called. French Cheven and My Earliest Tenkara Pole is the name of the chapter. There is a tiny village in France, not too far from the French Grand Canyon, Les Gorges de l'Ardèche, named Saint-Paul-Trois-Châteaux, or St. Paul, Three Castles. It is a very old village, full of lovely stone houses, and a handsome church which has been witness to hundreds of years of worship, prayer, and chanting, and meditation. My friends Constance and Margot grew up here, attending the lovely morning markets to select fresh breads and other groceries as they mingled with their neighbors in all types of weather, under the protection of Les Halles, the ancient architecture of their modern indoor market. Enjoying many delicious dishes, ready to eat, like tiny colorful terrines, bivalves that can be found digging into the beach sand of La Camargue, a large wilderness park on the Mediterranean, olives, fresh cheeses, and tasty breads, one enjoys many a smile and quite a few generous samples. Attempting to communicate with my early French, I found the villagers eager to share their old world recipes and gentle, sophisticated heritage. Yes, the locals are friendly. One of the more memorable dishes we enjoyed was a big silver chub, which I caught angling in the Ardèche River, with a long telescopic pole and a tiny lure. We stuffed that chub with almonds, fruits, and onions and ate it along with some of the quotidian delicacies we purchased at the Les Halles market. The fish came to hand while swimming a jig fly in the clear river. Flipping the jig out into the pristine current, I had watched the tiny black speck of a lure sink out of sight. Lazy in the afternoon sun, I simply let the current swim my offering along freely by propping the pole against a large stone on the high bank. I waited amiably as many kayakers passed by. Some chatted loudly in their native tongues, Italian, Spanish, French, Russian, English. One young kayaker, I think Italian, apparently excited to see me angling, bent in my direction. He approached to chat and in a brave staccato that bounced off the high canyon walls, tried to communicate something about fish he was seeing, perhaps in his tongue maternal, as he glided along far below my stone seat. I remained like a statue. I felt quite relaxed where I sat soaking in the delicious afternoon sun. I knew there must be fish around my jig. Finally, not long after the young kayaker left, having failed to help me understand exactly what his excitement was about, I felt a sure tug on the line. Lifting the pole, I felt resistance and landed a heavy fish. My friend Constance smiled. She could tell I was in my element, and she shared my enthusiasm. After a good fight, the unlucky chub came up onto the rocks. I recognized it as a species I had tried to catch in a smaller river a few days earlier. It was what I had heard some fishermen call a cheven. This one was big enough for our supper. We cleaned it and hoped for another. We failed to catch anything else that afternoon, but we were happy to have been able to soak up the scene that had played out before us against a backdrop of extraordinary natural beauty. Our well-known stone arch was visible near our fishing hole. One well-known stone arch was visible near our fishing hole. It took the form of a long natural stone bridge which one can actually walk across, and my brother did. At the base of the stone bridge, a small cave is visible. The inside is narrow and dank. Fishing the Ardèche with a 3 or 4 meter pole and small artificial lure taught me the basics of tenkara angling before it had a name that we Western anglers recognize. True, every culture has used long reelless poles and simple baits or flies to catch fish. There is a certain delicacy, a precision, which is possible with long pole work that can't be achieved through any other technique. It is also true that most European pole anglers offer simple hook baits like worms or corn, though it is possible to work with artificials alone. This presentation is not much different from the one I used today with my tenkara on local rivers for trout, salmon, carp, pike, and so on. The masters remind us that much of a soul's success depends on environment. That is true in angling as it is in meditation. Wilderness and clear water, bright rays of sunlight, and a sensitive approach allow the soul to get up close and personal in its world, including the silver-scaled chubs of France, which have shown themselves to be worthy prizes in the most beautiful environments. The next chapter is called More on Pole Diving, or Fishing Beneath the Meniscus with a Pole. I hope to get to one of those chapters soon, but I want to just wind up with a few thoughts now about business, creativity, and meditation. So as we've seen, the business model of the yogi flows from the morning practice, from the daily practice. I recommend a morning practice and an evening practice, 20 minutes as a minimum if you're serious about it, morning and evening, or in the beginning, at least just making time to sit down, to close your eyes, and to go deep within. And that's what I'd like to do now, just taking 60 seconds to breathe deeply together before breaking down this pattern so that we can digest it and apply it in our own daily lives. So, the idea being that if we can take in the morning even 1 or 2 minutes to start with sitting in the same seat, perhaps reading a short section maybe from one of my books. I have several devotional works as well, or from your Bible or from your Bhagavad Gita. Breathing in deeply after digesting a few lines. And out again with proper posture, gazing up towards the point between the eyebrows. Breathing in again, relaxing fully. We're able to go deeper into our quest for happiness, for health, and for wealth. Just 2 or 3 more breaths together now. Concentrating on that vibration of holy wealth and generosity. Holy wealth and generosity. So let's just take a few minutes now to recapitulate. If we are interested in leading a life devoted to business and to meditation, we're in a very good place. And we can take the example of models like James J. Lin or Rajarsi Janakananda, who became the second president of Self-Realization Fellowship, who is a millionaire and very generous with his wealth, having, for example, donated the grounds in Encinitas for the ashram there, or for the hermitage retreat. We don't have to all be millionaires, of course, to be successful. As we take a little time in the morning to groom ourselves for the beloved, to groom ourselves for spirit, to groom ourselves for an encounter with devotion, a higher form of devotion, then we begin to find ourselves growing more creative, ready to give something back. This can create a perfect recipe then for success if we want to use some sort of creative strategy in business, or as a writer, perhaps as a dancer, or as a musician, or a website designer, something like this. We can begin to design our day ourselves and say, this is what I want to write about, this is what I want to speak about, this is what I want to present. And as we do that, we find ourselves invited to more and more opportunities for growth, and eventually that also helps us to grow rich, wealthy, prosperous, and generous. This is the model that I'm following. So far, so very good, and thank you for your time. Much love to you. Let's keep in touch. If you have any questions, please put them in the post them below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Also, please subscribe. Those of you who do subscribe, please write below, I subscribed. That'll help bring more people in. And I think that will be good for not only for myself, but also for my fellow subscribers. Thank you.